Did we not push it? Oh,
no,
look
there
at
we
that.
go.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Oh no, brown cow.
All right. Well, that sucks.
Okay, who's listening to us on Facebook, on YouTube?
Well, our producer who
Oh.
couldn't make it to the show
Oh
today.
yeah, how?
So it goes to show you how important it is to have your producer. And so thank you for the flag there on the audio issue. But we do have actually, let me see. We're going to try this out. We got our buddy Reagan Weiss, actually. My buddy Reagan Weiss from Newport Richie up. Are you there, Reagan?
Hey, what's up, Jonathan? How you doing, brother?
Doing awesome, man.
We can
Great to
hear
hear
ya.
you. Yeah, you're our first Clubhouse guest to join the show. Welcome to the Yard Sign.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me, man. Love what you guys been doing for a long time, Jonathan. You know that. I've been a big fan of you, and I appreciate everything you do, brother. So what's up?
I appreciate it so much. We, of course, are going to talk about all the drama happening with Facebook, as that has been a hot mess today. And then really quickly, though, I do want to give you a shout out in all the things you do, aside from being an amazing contractor. But you also kind of spearhead this community of do-gooders up here in Tampa Bay called The Hub, where it's businesses helping each other. You know, it's really creating a sense of community. It is caught on like wildfire. You have thousands of members. How many members are you at now?
Yeah, so we have 23,000 members in a year, my friend. And
Wow,
quite
that's
frankly, my team is a big part of that, and our community believing in collaboration, not competition, because at the end of the day, there is so much business in Tampa Bay to go around. Why compete when we can all feed off one another? And that's been our message. And there's multiple contracting companies within our hub network. And at the end of the day, if I can't get to the job, why would I not feed that to someone that I can trust to do the job, right? And that should be in any industry, Jonathan, in my opinion, as long as you believe in that person, that person's following your moral compass, that person's following exactly what you would want to do as a business owner. So why not feed them? Why not feed it so it goes back to your community?
Well, and I wanted to, I didn't want to kind of spoil it for you. So tell us what the Hub means, because I know it's an acronym.
Yeah, the Hub stands for Helping Unify Business.
Yeah, which I think is brilliant.
And it's great. It became, how it first started, Jonathan, for pure transparency, is that my business partner and I, we started getting filtered on Facebook groups. Okay.
Yeah, speaking of our first topic.
Kind of crazy today, because we were all filtered today, weren't we? We were silent. And I would love to talk on that for a second. But at the end of the day, like, we were getting filtered, and I said, and I would talk to the Facebook group admins, right? And I'm sorry, a lot of these people, they get this power on them that they think that they can censor somebody and do what they want and say what they want. And they had this perception that I was a larger company, and that because I'm a powerhouse, it's not fair to the smaller contractors. So therefore, I was being removed from the Facebook group. But I said, wait a minute. Which
in all fairness, not to knock the ego a little bit, but I mean, you're a local business. I mean, you're a small team. You're a local contractor. You're not some national conglomerate or some multinational corporation. I mean, you've got you do amazing work, and you have an incredible team. And honestly, I'm sure you could be twice the size if you wanted to. But for somebody to say no, you're too big to play in our pond, I think is also a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is we don't take more than 20 projects at a time, Jonathan, because we become inefficient.
Yep.
And if we're inefficient, then we get bad reviews, and then, it just keeps going.
Exactly.
So we always said, let's stay a small company. Let's stay where we can manage it, and it's a manageable company, and continue to grow. Yes, the truth is we can grow and keep going, but why? Let's manage what we have and be grateful for what we have.
Yeah.
So we got removed from these groups. I'm like, you know what? We're just going to have to start our own. And because we started our own, and because we stayed away from the negativity, and we said, listen, no negativity in this group. All I want to hear about are great things in this development, great thing in this area, great things in Tampa Bay, and I don't want to hear about the helicopter hovering on Dale Mabry Boulevard.
Right.
I don't want to hear all that crap. I want to hear great things about our community.
Yeah, there's plenty of that.
Really, people came right to it. So thanks, man. Thanks for that shout out. I appreciate it.
No, of course, absolutely. So check out the Hub here in Tampa Bay. It's again an amazing group of local business owners. And speaking of which, you were, of course, like you were saying, as a small business, as many of us are, we're very dependent on Facebook. How did that affect business for you today?
So hear me out, right? So I have this group of 23,000 people, right? Not just my small Templar contracting business, but all these people. And they're like, Reagan, I didn't know what to do today because a lot of my stuff is social media based. I couldn't advertise my company. There's lots of things that we could not do. And at the end of the day, did it cut off communication between me and all of my clients? Yeah, for that platform.
Right.
But if you're a smart business owner, then obviously you have other means to contact those people, right?
Exactly.
But what this did do to me, gentlemen, was open my eyes today on how quickly it can be shut off in a second. And we put all of our eggs in this social media basket, and we put all of our time and emphasis in spending advertising dollars, but it's not ours. It could be gone in a blink, and it's quite frankly, it was scary. So it made me think today, like, okay, I got to go back and recreate my website now because, you know, God forbid this does happen again. I have to have another platform to get my message out there. What do you guys think?
Well, and that's the thing, you know, these guys hold the keys to the kingdom, you know, and we kind of jokingly tongue in cheek here on this podcast called them the tech overlords, but that's exactly what they are. I mean, in an instant, like they did to our former president, they could decide whether or not you have a global platform. And they have already in many other countries, including our own, but have a very, very strongly affected the outcome of elections and who gets elected and who wins elections based on how they have censored and deplatformed certain voices online.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, allegedly. And here's the thing, gentlemen. I agree, right? Like, I get that. And, of course, one of the things we don't allow on the hub, of course, is politics, right? And that's obviously opposite of your show because we love to talk politics. But I don't allow that because of that reason. And here's why, right? And I get a lot of flack for this, guy. So don't cast a stone at me after I say this. I'm also grateful at the same time for Team Zuckerberg because if I didn't have that platform, right? Yeah. There's millions of dollars that got filtered back into my community. Mm-hmm. Thousands of families have been fed because of that platform, right? Sure. So it's like it's catch-22. It's there for you. It's a tool for you, but you have to use it responsibly at the same time. For the people that bash the social media lords, as you will, on social media, I find that the most comical thing in the world because here you are making fun of Facebook on Facebook. At the end of the day, it's a tool, period, end of story. Get your message out there, get it out to the masses, period. Where in today's world, guys, can you, besides radio, like you said, Jonathan, right, and go old school? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, radio's still alive, right, but not like it was. But where are small business owners like me going to be able to afford television time? We just can't, and it's getting more and more expensive. It's not getting more affordable.
Well, in full transparency, Reagan, when you and I were working together for a national home builder, I mean, I remember buying advertising in the Sunday paper on the Tampa Tribune for $10,000 for a full page ad, one full page ad on a Sunday. All right, that means it ran one time, one full page for $10,000. I don't know what the going rate is for a full page these days. I can assure you that's not it. But still, the larger media outlets, television, radio, newspapers, are still out of reach for many small business owners.
100%, and that's why social media was a saving grace for all of them. And quite frankly, I know social media. You know I know it. I could do a lot of damage with $10,000 on social media.
Oh, good Lord, I mean,
my message would be everywhere, every single day. They would turn off my ads because it would be in your face. Yeah. And that's the beauty part, too. You have that option. And that's what I love, too. You want to shut me off? Shut me off. It's the click of a switch.
Well, according to Democrats, I mean, the Russians bought the election for about $150,000. So
that's not a lot of money.
Exactly. So, oh man. Well, Reagan, thank you so much for calling into the show. And again, I appreciate greatly what you're doing out there. I'm so excited to see all of your success with Templar Contracting and the Hub, and we hope to have you back on the show sometime.
Thank you, guys, and I want to have you guys on our hub, right? Have you guys on the platform too, because I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Absolutely, count on it. Thank you, buddy. That's right. So if you didn't notice, and I don't know how you wouldn't, as we were just saying, Facebook. I don't think they've put out any that I didn't really see a statement that went around in terms of them explaining what happened.
So right now, and I want to say we should reverse this to about 72 hours ago. Right. And that was on the heels of them knowing that 60 Minutes was going to.
So you think this is tied to
Am I going to say that this is convenient after a huge bombshell that occurred? And I'm going to say the word bombshell very lightly because anyone who is worth their salt when it comes to social media was not surprised at all with the allegations that the whistleblower used. I was going to use the other word. In regards to what the allegations.
Don't need to make this into a Me Too scandal.
No, it's not. It's just me and you. It's fine. In regards to what the allegations are from the whistleblower stating that Facebook has known all along that their social media actually causes depression and causes girls to not feel good about their bodies and was manipulating, they were saying that it's causing the riots of January 6th. And don't get me wrong, I understand the concept of where they're coming from because I can say that chemical plants in the 70s and 80s knew exactly what they were putting into the water.
Sure.
And also in regards to oil companies and cigarette companies, I can say all that. And I think that's where we need to think of it, that Facebook can be just as harmful as cigarettes and as all the others that cause detrimental to the body.
Well, and right now they're playing right into the pocket of the government. Mm-hmm. But again, the government, as we all know, historically has also been known to lie to the public for whatever their agenda may be. And
masks.
And so, whether it's Facebook's agenda or the government's agenda, we certainly, see a huge problem here because we become so dependent on these. Now, a ridiculous kind of tangent on this story was that there was an opinion article, and I don't even want to say where it was because it doesn't even deserve that kind of merit, but they were saying that the Facebook and Amazon should have seats at the UN.
What?
Because they have become such a global conglomerate and so influential globally that they should. And I don't know if I don't think there's any accountability that would go along with that. But certainly to have them now dictate global policy, I think is. Again, you're just feeding the monster at that point.
I mean, they're already dictating policy. They're already dictating what's happening around the world.
Right.
Just by what's happened today. I mean, they had commentary that Facebook has touched 2.7 billion people around the world is what their average monthly user base is, which is a ridiculous number to begin with. But it does make sense that they do manipulate a lot and they do influence a lot. But at the end of the day, their argument, and I saw one of their representatives on CNBC today, and she was talking about how to say that we're doing this on purpose is inappropriate. Now and she's trying to fight the line between we are just a platform and we're just trying to make sure that we're letting people talk to other people. And something that she mentioned was that more people commented about what they wore for Halloween than those that commented about the election in 2020, which I thought was a fascinating statement to make.
Yeah.
And so if she's right, then it makes sense. The same thing about with Twitter. What happens on Twitter is not as what's happening around the world. I mean, the average number of people that use Twitter is 20 million people?
Yeah, it's a single-digit percentage.
Yeah, it's a fraction of it. But yet, because it's Twitter, we have to make it into a big deal. So,
but it's not just Facebook. It's the whole family of applications that, again, there's they talk about Zuckerberg losing millions of dollars.
Billions. Zuckerberg lost $6 billion dollars when it came to what happened this week.
So Zuckerberg lost $6 billion, but I can assure you, the economic impact of that, the ripple effect of that is going to be felt globally, because you got to admit the amount of commerce that wasn't sold, the amount of advertising that didn't get placed. Ad agencies, I know, are going to lose a lot of money because of advertising that was not seen or shown.
But it's also a day. If it was down for a week or two, then that would be one thing.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying it's catastrophic.
Yeah, we're going to be able to quantify what the cost for a 7 to 10 hour outage when it comes to Facebook. I mean, just going through Facebook now, seeing people that they're like, "Hello, is anyone there? Was I the only one that got to post today?"
The Washington Post even, said, "Hey, like this if you can see it." They were kind of tongue in cheek about it.
And that's the thing. The commentary from the whistleblower was stating that Facebook knows that inappropriate and negative things will actually push people to do more engagement. Which again, No shit. Like, I don't understand how do people not know this already? Like, I've always known that Instagram is probably pretty bad for your self-esteem,
right?
Because you're looking at images that don't make any sense and that are not real.
And see, the crazy thing is, now the only reason I don't believe entirely that this had to do anything with the whistleblower is simply because there were a lot of outages today. I mean, that were outside the Facebook family as well. And so I'm thinking it was Amazon Web Services, maybe, because a lot of people are dependent on that.
Did Amazon say that they were down?
I don't know. No, and what I'm saying is wherever this technology all kind of lives right now, right? Amazon Web Services is a big part of that. But, we're also talking about similar companies, that
but I don't
these
think
server farms.
I don't think but I think they are big enough that they're kind of detached from each other. Now, if this was Google, I could totally see this hitting.
Because it wasn't just. So the Facebook family is Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger.
Yes.
Okay. But then there are others actually here. I'll just go ahead and bring it down. There's a website in case any of you are interested.
It's Down Detector.
Right. It's Down Detector. Right. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Downdetector.com. And it wasn't just Instagram. So Twitter had a bad day. They also had an outage spike. They're spiking again right now. T-Mobile had a bad spike. Outlook. Oculus is also part of the Facebook family. Yeah. Gmail had a huge Facebook outage spike, but then it recovered. It's already back. Office 365, Google, Zoom, Telegram, Bank of America, TikTok. I mean, you name it. This is a mass. There's something bigger here. I think there's something much bigger going on.
I don't want to go into the rabbit hole that you're about to walk us through, but I will say it is again very convenient that Facebook, that almost controls the internet, had this kind of manipulation. So is Zuckerberg willing to kill $6 billion for him not to have to deal with a congressional hearing? Maybe. I think it's still going to happen. I think this might be one of those watershed moments where even Democrats are upset now with Facebook, and they're probably going to make them go to hearings. But again, these old senators have no idea what's going on to begin with, and they're expecting their 30 and 40-year-old legislative aides to give them the questions that they need to ask.
Right.
And nothing's going to happen with this situation. So again, I think until you get more tech-savvy individuals into the Senate and into the House, you're never going to have it. And I say this, AOC is not someone that I would expect to know this kind of diversity when it comes to what actual questions need to be asked, because she's going in a whole different direction.
Yeah, but at least, again, her being the age that she is, I mean, she understands it better than most.
Yeah, but she's blaming...
She's not out there wondering still how Facebook makes money in 2021.
But she's the one that's blaming Facebook for the genocide in Myanmar, which is because we didn't have genocides and wars back in the day before Facebook. No, it's human nature. And again, another comment that I saw coming out of Facebook, or at least out of one of the executives, was that Facebook shows the best and the worst of individuals. And that's true. I don't expect Facebook to be policing every single post, because that's insane. YouTube, people that upload to YouTube every hour or every day is more than it's been uploaded in the history of mankind. It's absolutely crazy what's happening. Yeah. And so it's impossible to filter it. Hence why they should be either you turn them into utilities or you don't police at all.
All right, well, let's go ahead and reset to the topics, everybody. Thank you so much for watching The Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics, and I would say also the most diverse podcast in conservative politics. Jonny Torres, your host, with Anibal David Cabrera. We're talking about the Facebook outage, and of course, you can't ignore what we were kind of already touching on, which is the whistleblower that has come out, and I almost think, even though I love the guys at Project Veritas, I'm almost grateful that she did not go through Project Veritas, because it truly validates what this particular woman is saying. I think it's Frances Hagen is her name, and she is basically not really revealing so much we don't know. She's mostly confirming what we already knew, which is that Facebook is going to do what's best for Facebook.
Shocking. It's a company. Shocking.
Well, right. And the fact that Instagram obviously very harmful for young girls. You know, I have a 5-year-old daughter that I mean, hopefully Instagram will be long gone before then, but I'm sure there will be something in its place. But even at a young age, like you see how aware that young girls are. Even at 5 years old, she's very aware about what she wears and how she looks, you know, and to have something out there, a very harsh kind of public facing platform that people, and especially young women, seek validation from is very unfortunate. And it has only exacerbated a lot of those insecurities that people have. And it's not just women. There's plenty of men out there who, again, feel insecure because of the lifestyles that they see other men and women portray on Instagram. And again, people, like this isn't real. It's not reality. This is, in many cases, it's not even close to reality. It's entirely fictional. What we're seeing on people's social media accounts. It is a blip. It is a snapshot of maybe of an event or of a moment. But it lacks so much context to reality that again, that's where I think we get into the harmful territory, that people think that what they see on these social media platforms is real.
But this is something that's been happening on human society for millennia. I mean, this is the reason why you don't try to keep up with the Joneses, because you don't know what is happening,
right,
except for what's happening in the exterior. So like you would have people that would just show up to events, they would be all decked out and all dolled up, and then you would have that consumption of what those people are doing. And you would focus on celebrities and the newspapers and the magazines, and that's how you'd get that kind of glossiness. And now it's in your hand 24/7 when it comes to internet, when it comes to Instagram, and when it comes to Facebook and some of the other ones. And again, this isn't doing anything different. Nothing is new under the sun when it comes to biblical references today.
Yeah.
That this is just normal. And so, like, if you as a parent were having problems not controlling, but teaching your kids appropriately when it comes to their moral standards and how they should be raising themselves and how they should treat and see themselves, then what these web-based platforms is doing nothing but just exacerbating the problem.
Well, what I do think is, it's too soon to say, but this could be a catalyst, or at least a justified argument for breaking apart Facebook.
But what would breaking up Facebook do to stop?
No, nothing, because it would only, as we've seen with past monopolies, I mean, it has only strengthened the companies individually.
Correct.
But then we also see like the outage, you know, and I think it's a stark reminder to businesses, individuals, that, hey, as my friend Reagan said at the start of the show, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, yeah. But where would we be if we only did Facebook? Like, we wouldn't be able to do this today. We would have to have passed and moved it somewhere else. At least now we're able to talk about what's happening.
Yeah, because for Facebook now we're having to record it and repost it and all that stuff. But again, you know, so it's crazy, because all of this has kind of come to a head, and you wonder if, like you said, to play conspiracy theory, you know, was this outage maybe a way to distract from the whistleblower? And that's very likely, you know, because what she's saying is that not only is Facebook, Instagram, all these apps harmful to society, but that they are also causing a lot of political unrest, civil unrest, and that Facebook is pretty much not only letting it fly, but pretty much supporting it, because it's making them money. It is creating that engagement. It is perpetuating. They know because they've already done it, as she said in her interview. They know that when you censor and when you filter the content and when you try to break apart the arguing and the dysfunction, that Facebook actually loses money in the process.
Correct.
And so why would they?
Yeah. Again, at the end of the day, and I'll say it again, this is what newspapers were blamed for in the early 20th century.
Sure. Yeah.
This is what preachers during millennia ago that were spreading news of different things were being condemned for, because they were causing strife and they were causing divisiveness. Again, this is nothing new. This is just now, instead of there being an editor-in-chief stopping things from going through, now there is no filter.
Right.
And again, I don't know what the benefits of that is, but it's a hell of a lot better than getting censored all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you decouple the desire for a company to make money for their shareholders and for themselves to continue to invest and build a better product. Again, if you're upset with this, it's because you are the problem. Honestly, if you don't want this to be an issue, then stop posting things on Facebook.
Well, and coincidentally, it also turns out to be right around the time where legislation in Australia, where they're having horrible issues with the government overreach and beating people up for mask mandates, vaccine mandates, that sort of thing. And Facebook has now deplatformed all news outlets and media outlets. Now, one obviously is going to rush to judgment and think it has to do with censorship. It actually has nothing to do with censorship. It has to do with the fact that Facebook doesn't want to pay these media outlets for the content that they create because they're claiming that Facebook is hurting, their website traffic and all that stuff. And so Facebook said, all right, well, we just won't post your content then. And so now you've got an uninformed public, because again, most people are getting their news from social media.
But whose fault is that?
Whose
fault is that?
Right.
Why are we, there's Europeans.
I understand.
The European councils are actually proposing new legislation to get back at Facebook because they feel that Facebook is causing them to take more extreme positions because of the extremes that are being filtered through Facebook. And my first thought again was like, you're telling me that because a company is allowing the fringes of the population to express themselves on a platform, it's forcing you to change and to put your positions in more extreme ways? That makes no sense. Again, you're listening to the 3 to 5% of the far left or right and dictating policies that way. When did adults stop becoming adults?
Yeah.
You have to take some kind of accountability when it comes to this. When you're posting things, again, what people post in the past is we can have that conversation that nothing dies anymore as a society because everything you post is going to be there forever.
Yep.
But you are the one that's posting that. If you don't like what people are going to judge about you, then don't post. Yeah. But then we have this whole situation in now society that everyone feels they have to post their bare behind in a swimsuit on the 1st of June because that's what everyone else does. Again, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But then take accountability when it comes to all the negative or positive comments you're going to get.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Yard Sign. Again, we appreciate you. Don't forget, you can download this very high-quality audio version of our show over at the Tech Overlords that we have been railing against all show at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. And now you can hear our velvety voices even better now that we've got some fancy new equipment in our studio. I know. Anibal doesn't listen to the show, but that's a whole other issue.
I don't listen to the show because I'm on the show.
Yes.
Why would I listen to the show if I'm on the show? Have you not had other artists that they act in a movie and then they don't watch their movie because they were there?
But they should. It's constructive.
What are you talking about?
It's constructive, so they become better broadcasters, better actors, better singers.
You are going to force individuals to listen to their own products that they were producing.
I'm not forcing anybody to do anything.
You're giving me a lot of pressure. I feel oppressed at the moment.
I am merely suggesting that to improve the nature of this show, the quality of this show.
I have a Hispanic man yelling at me. And because of that, I don't feel safe at the moment.
It's all right. It's brown on brown violence, so it's acceptable.
Oh, yeah. White people won't care.
No. All right. Thank you so much for watching the show. I think we had to have that healthy discussion on Facebook because there was so much going on in there. Of course, I'm sure there will be many more conspiracies abound. And again, I don't think I've seen an actual statement from Facebook, but we'll keep looking on that. Of course, if Facebook were working, Hector could tell us if Facebook has made an actual official statement on what's happened today, but maybe they're still working.
They have made comments that it's a large outing. This is the largest since I think 2006 they were talking, or 2017. I don't know. Evidently, this is causing a huge amount of problems with over 10.6 million. I think that's wrong. 10.6 million users reports worldwide. The stock has dropped 4.9% as of today. Yeah. Okay. So
final question on the issue, and we'll move on to the next one. Do you think that this is related to the whistleblower?
I'm going to say no, because I feel that as a society, the likelihood of this happening is priceless. This is probably exactly what happened. It's just an outage. Yeah. However, the
Perception.
The perception is, of course, this was done on purpose. Why not?
Yeah.
You're going to talk about us online. How about we just not let you talk about us online?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and again, they can censor whatever they want. So
It's their platform. You are getting a free product. Who cares?
Exactly. All right. So let's go ahead and move into our second topic of the day. Again, don't forget we are broadcasting live on Clubhouse if you want to join us there. And raise your hand if you're in our Clubhouse room. We'll get you on the air and join us too. You can put in your 2 cents. 2022 kicking off already. And if you have been involved in politics to any extent, this is no surprise to you. But for those average voters out there, to the casual voter, this may come as a surprise. But campaigns are kicking off here. This is about right. This is because there's really 2 strategies to this, and we can kind of go on that to start off on this point, is you can kick off your campaign early, like we're seeing some do, with campaign events starting October or and even early November. But then you got to go radio silent during the holidays. And I'm not saying like just completely silent. You got to put out your Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmases and all that kind of stuff. But you really don't want to be like that campaign that's hitting up people for money during the holidays. No. And you don't want to be that campaign that's already begging for volunteers and out there kind of, throwing out the red meat. People don't want to hear it during the holidays.
So right now, I think we're like 15 weeks away for the end of the year.
Okay.
And we have about 6 more weeks to where you can actually do something politically. You can have a launch party. You can file for you to become a part. You can file to become a candidate. You are able to start fundraising. And again, you can do all this during normal times. However, the week of Thanksgiving, you give your.
Sorry. I'm making adjustments over here. I'm trying to. There we go. Sorry. You can do what?
Are you done?
Yes.
I'm just asking. I mean, we can pause.
I'm constantly working on making this the best show possible.
Do you need to go to the lavatory?
Do you have a problem with that?
If you need to right now, you can.
No, I'm adjusting the microphone over here. It has nothing to do with the lavatory.
Camera 2.
My goodness.
And we're back. So again, the week of Thanksgiving, you can do nothing. From Thanksgiving to the New Year, it looks horrible. If you throw a party, if you throw a fundraiser, it just looks weird.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Sarah Huckabee, and we'll talk about that in another broadcast.
Oh, boy.
Or like someone that's a top echelon. There's going to be galas, there's going to be events. It's going to be a crazy amount of things. But as an individual, if this is your first time running or you're kind of like throwing yourself out there, the 1st of October all the way until the second to last week of November is when you can actually do something politically. And as we saw last week, the kickoff party for Florida's Attorney General Ashley Moody launched her statewide campaign for her 2022 bid for 4 more years. Who's who of Republican County Republican influencers, actual influencers, and donor class were at the Pepin Center in attendance for the Ashley Moody's launch party, which officially starts the 2020 midterm campaign. I think this was a great way to launch it. I think the day was perfect. Anything that deals with her, it's usually perfection. It's well thought through. It's well orchestrated. It's well executed, plenty of people, plenty of good food, and it was a great time. And it really showed who wasn't there is really spoke more than who was there.
So let me ask you on that question there, because you made a point that actually kind of brought up a thought. Was the transition from Pam Bondi to Ashley Moody maybe the best swap that Republicans have made, certainly here in Florida?
Completely. I think it was
Yeah, right.
It was seamlessly.
I think so too. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
I didn't see a hiccup. I think she picked up where Pam Bondi had left off, not had dropped, had left off.
Yeah,
when it came
but still with her own twist.
With her own twist, but with human trafficking, with drugs, when it came to criminals, when it came to all of that stuff, I think she's done a fabulous job these last 4 years, and we were excited. The room was packed with people, and everyone was genuinely excited. It was almost like Republican nerd like prom.
Yeah,
because of everyone.
We need one of those in Tampa.
We need more of those things, and it was it was probably one of the first big events that everyone from the county had to attend if you knew about the event. Like people that didn't know about the event, it's their issues. But if you were aware and you were sent a link, you were going to show up.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't able to make it for personal reasons, but I really wanted to be there, and I knew it was going to be kind of the who's who politically, and it's certainly maybe one of the few political events that I miss having not been able to go to because, again, life happening. But because, I mean, there's just so many of those.
Yeah, there's so many.
I mean, it becomes like, but this was certainly not it.
This was a top
I knew
tier.
it was going to,
This was a top
I
tier.
knew it was going to be an important one to be at. And again, that's reflective of who showed up. And again, she has been a force. She has done an incredible job at not only supporting our state constitution, but also supporting the agenda of the governor.
Correct.
And so, she's going to go unchallenged on the Republican side. And really, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really heard, unlike maybe some others, I haven't heard of anybody who's really had any kind of an issue with her or anything that she's done so far.
There's going to be some people running against her on the Democratic side and maybe a Republican, but I don't see any challenger on either side that goes close whatsoever.
Yeah.
She's done a great job making sure that we are fighting the good fight and doing what the governor's asking to do, and the governor is probably as popular as ever when it comes to the state of Florida. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but this was one, and I agree with Jonny. Come February or April of next year, it becomes insufferable.
Yeah.
The amount of events that we have to attend. It's 2 to 3 a week.
And everybody wants your checkbook.
Yeah, everyone wants a checkbook. Everyone wants you to attend because they want the room to look full.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where things kind of come off the rails a little bit when it comes to the political activism.
And so many of these are so cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And not to kind of knock any of, my friends who are in kind of lower tier races, but it's like you go to support them because you're a friend. But there's not really any notable people there. It's mostly to rally like friends and family, maybe some community individuals. But I knew that the Moody one was going to be kind of a who's who. And it's so weird because you don't realize until you kind of just take a step back how spoiled we are here in Tampa Bay to have, had Pam Bondi and now Ashley Moody, both from the Tampa Bay area, and really kind of have a presence here, because she's a statewide official, and we kind of take that for granted. Like she didn't choose Orlando or Miami or Jacksonville or, this is her hometown. She's from Plant City. And I think we forget that, right? Because she's a local. We kind of take it for granted, because she's also on the state cabinet. And I think it's pretty cool that we get to do that. I mean, now we're also one of the major metros.
Correct.
So, Governor Scott frequently held large events here.
Marco Rubio announced his campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
Right.
So we have a lot of influence when it comes to the state. We're on this side of the I-4 corridor, which is a huge voter block when it comes to the statewide election. So I think we're going to see a lot more. I don't know where the governor is officially launching his re-election. I don't think that's going to happen until probably the new year. Again,
but he's from the Jacksonville region, so it'll probably be up there.
I actually would think it would probably be somewhere in the middle of the state. I wouldn't think it would be in Jacksonville. Honestly, I don't think so. If Marco Rubio announced in Tampa that he was running for senator outside of the Miami, because he has Miami already. Why would you?
Right.
Why would you do it? Like you could do it.
You need the corridor.
Yeah, you need the corridor, and your governor. So I would say I think he's going to announce somewhere between Miami and Tampa, not Miami, Orlando and Tampa.
Well, and this goes back to strategy. Because sometimes these things are strategic. Again, for Rubio to do his kickoff event here in Tampa, I mean, that was strategic. You need the I-4 corridor to win the seat, and he did. Same with Rick Scott. He understood the value of the I-4 corridor, gave it lots of attention, while he was in office. It'll be interesting to dissect these events as they happen and see kind of strategically what they're trying to do. Because we have an agriculture commissioner race that's going to be really interesting because since Nikki Fried is putting herself up for governor, that opens up a race there for not that she was a shoe-in for re-election, because trust me, she wasn't.
It was a fluke. It was a fluke that Chad did not win. I was very surprised.
Well, and I think for Nikki Fried in 2021, it's more about 21-22. I think she was more scared of her reelection than maybe her election. Because she could go run for governor and be like, oh, you know what? I ran for governor and I gave it a shot, and she's going to get props for it, right?
Completely.
But if she were to have lost reelection, that would have been so embarrassing for her and the Democrats.
As the only Democrat left.
Oh, yeah.
For statewide election.
Right? Yeah.
No, this is the only thing she could do.
Right.
This is the only way she could do it, because now the force of the Republican Party is going after you as the
and if she's going to go up against who I think she's going to go up against, or who she would have gone up against, for the agriculture commissioner, I think she'd lose handily.
So it's interesting how that race is going to go. And again, the Ashley Moody launch party was the cream of the crop when it came to launch parties. I think we'll see one or two more in the region when it comes to those kind of events, and then it kind of tapers down from there. We'll have a lot of galas coming up in the future, but I think that was probably that was the main one. And I will say this, that I was pleasantly surprised who was not in attendance. And when I say that,
yeah, but I know you, and you're not gonna name names.
I am not.
I'd be calling people out.
I am just gonna say that I was very surprised that no one from the Hillsborough County Republican executive leadership attended the meeting. I was a little event. I was a little surprised about that. I know that
I'm not. I would have told them not to come.
Do you really think they didn't get invites? So now when I look this direction, I look at Jonny.
See, yeah, this makes more sense.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah, I know. That's why I just swapped it.
I was having to go this way.
I know. That's a great question. Do I think they got an invitation? No, I don't think. And that's our clip for the day.
No.
I
don't think so. I was. No.
And that's probably why none of them showed up.
No.
Wow.
The people that I did see there were literally the anti-HREC leadership. Those that have been a part of it and dropped out, or those that fought the machine and was like, I'm out. I can't deal with this anymore.
But your Plant City folks, the diehard Plant City.
Oh, Art Wood and
they
his
were
wife.
all there.
The Woods were there.
Okay.
Beautiful couple. I love them to death. They are the antithesis of.
Well, they were a huge catalyst for her running for this office.
They were. And again, I think Art Wood and his wife are just. I want to be them when I grow up.
Well, who doesn't want to be Walt Disney when they grow up?
Exactly. Really?
And almost the older he gets, the more he looks like Walt Disney.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, we're getting super hyper local there.
I know. I apologize, but we love you, Art.
Oh my gosh.
And Travis Horn was there.
Okay.
A lot of
good buddy Travis Horn.
Lewis from the. I think is he
which
Scott or Marco?
Huh?
I think he's Scott.
Lewis?
Yes.
Lewis works for Governor Scott.
He was there. It was a lot of fun.
My buddy Taylor Sanchez is with Senator Rubio.
Yeah, we saw a lot of friends there. It was really good to see the who's who of leadership, from the young to the much grayer. So it was a good mix of people. Some kids were there.
Well, and she's right in that perfect age group.
Oh, yeah.
Demographically too, where she's motivating and inspiring a lot of young people. She has a very young staff.
She does have a very young staff.
A lot of young, successful women. That again, I think have amazing careers ahead of them. And again, she actually hired away, one of my interns, Brian Wright, who's also, that kid's going to be probably a senator or a congressman someday.
Oh, wow.
She just hired, oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name. This kid from Miami as her external affairs director, hired her away from Congresswoman Salazar.
Oh wow!
And he is also going to be a rock star, doing big things out of Miami. But again, did some time in D.C. But no Floridian wants to be in D.C. for long. So
no, it's for a cycle, and then you come back.
Yeah, and that's exactly what
you become a consultant. I will say this: one thing I did realize, that they had steak. And the chicken was very good. They even had shrimp.
So it wasn't because I think her original kickoff was hors d'oeuvres only, wasn't it?
Yeah, sir. I was there at the first one.
Grand Floridian.
Yep, at the Grand Floridian. It was nice. It was all right.
The Floridian.
The Floridian. Yeah. And then this one, there was 5 different sets,
So this was sit-down dinner?
No, this was standing, but you could go get as much food as you wanted.
Got it.
Lauren was quite hungry that day. You can get all the wine you wanted. There was multiple options.
Yeah.
The best thing, though, is when there's no doubt the campaign has money is when you're able to just pick up swag and walk out.
Oh yeah,
like we had shirts.
You had nobody
hats.
asking you for money.
Oh no,
Yeah.
not at all. We brought a checkbook so we could donate.
Sure.
And they did not let us like donate to the campaign.
Oh, funny.
They're like, no, this is not the event. I'm like, okay. My bad. I apologize.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll hit you up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was I was impressed. So again, it was really good. We had to shake the hand, we took the pictures, we did the stupid millennial selfie. So it is what it is.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Love it. All right.
was
Well,
good.
much success to Ashley Moody. Again, I'm sure she's, I don't think she hasn't. Does she have any opposition yet?
No.
Any announced opposition?
No, not that I know of.
Not certainly not on the primary side, but on the Democrat side, I'm sure somebody will step up.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone does. Set
Wasn't
up
Andrew Warren thinking about it? No?
No.
I thought he was.
Maybe, now that I think about it. I think because he's not running for his seat either. He's going to jump and try to run against something to get something higher, which won't happen.
All right. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, the most important relevant podcast in politics. Anibal, David Cabrera, and yours truly, Jonny Torres, here dissecting the day's news on this horrible, awful, catastrophic Monday.
It's dire.
Without
Absolutely
Facebook.
dire.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what? Not to beat a dead horse, but Lauren and I were watching. Ready Player One, and
cool.
And so at the end of the movie, when they got, and not to ruin it for anyone.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it, spoiler, you can stop now. They decide, so the guy gets control of basically Facebook.
Yeah.
And decides to turn off Facebook, basically their version of Facebook, every Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh, wow.
So then you have to like be participating in reality.
Sure.
And I thought that was fascinating. And now to think about like a day without Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I didn't realize I was working all day, so I can't say anything.
I think that's a brilliant idea, honestly. I mean, and there was that movie, that creepy movie with Tom Hanks, I think it was called The Circle. Yeah. Again, I think that would probably be, a really cool thing to do, like a day without Facebook.
That's fine.
It's just, but it goes to show you, because even you and I, we typically communicate through Messenger, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, these messages aren't going through.
I'm not going to lie. I got offended when you weren't talking to me. And I was like, are we just not going to do this? Like, because like no one's talking to me.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then okay, we're not going to do it. And then you call me and you're like, no, we're still going to do it. But I'm like, no one talked to me today.
Right.
And I was a little offended. And then I realized the reason why I wasn't getting communication with other, like I had client meetings that we only talk through Messenger.
No.
And so like, I was like, why are we, and like, oh my gosh, that's it. So
Yeah.
again, this is the reality of the world that we're kind of living in, because I don't have everyone's cell phone, and sometimes it's just through Messenger is how we communicate. So, Jonny, I was upset, and I apologize that I was upset with you. A few words of effigy were spilled.
Oh my goodness!
So I apologize.
How dare you?
I try.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again. Don't forget to download the audio version of our podcast over at the other Tech Overlords, Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, and iHeartRadio.
The ones that can pay their bills.
That's right. The ones that still have the lights on. Because look, part of wherever you may be watching the show, we're only doing it live to YouTube because we were not successfully able to get on to Facebook today. Big problem there. Let's go ahead and bring in our final topic for the night, and we're actually kind of good on time here. Let's see if we can kind of wrap this up. I don't think we'll knock this out in 9 minutes, but
there's no way we're knocking this out in 9 minutes.
I titled it "Choosing Beggars" because there's this amazing thread on Reddit called "Choosing Beggars," and it's basically people who ask for help or ask for free stuff, and then get super picky about it, or try to it's hard to explain, but you'd have to look it up, and the perfect example is, I've seen sometimes is, people will ask for a free car or a free stroller or some free food. And then they're like, oh, no, I don't like that stroller, or I don't like that car, or and that's actually happened to me. I've actually tried to help some people out. And because it wasn't the type of thing that they liked, they've turned it down, even though they were someone supposedly in need.
Well, Jonny, you have horrible taste, so I'm not that surprised at all.
But in this perspective of the topic, we were talking about the Democrats, and we talked about this topic last week as well. On how they are basically tearing each other up because they just can't seem to get on the same page to get both the reconciliation bill and the infrastructure bill passed, which is amazing. Republicans, I think they have enough Republicans to get past the infrastructure bill, but not the reconciliation bill, right?
The infrastructure bill passed the Senate, so that's already done. Yeah. That's already dealt with. It had, I think, 55 votes on it, and is now waiting in the House. I think what's happening now is phenomenal, and I'm really excited to see where it's going to go from here, because I'm just literally just watching a train wreck, because they're arguing over, I think, $5 or $6 trillion, and you say that nonchalantly, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what they're arguing about. And you have the president making comments about how Republicans are hypocrites for not helping him pass the debt ceiling, and Republicans are like, no, look, this is what you wanted. You have the votes because you pretended to be like you guys won a super majority in the last election, and you didn't. Yep. You tied. You didn't win majority. And you have Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin saying, look, I'm not voting for something that's over $1.8 trillion when it comes to the human infrastructure bill, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, because they make these comments, oh, we're going to have these programs. The moment you start giving families $300 a month, I think it is, for childcare, that's never going away. That's never going away. And if anything, it'll only increase.
You would quite literally be the most evil person on earth if you all of a sudden pulled that, because you can already hear the sob stories about, oh, that pays for my daycare, and that pays for Johnny's swimming lessons, and or the daycare, the babysitter, because I'm working 12 jobs, and so that's it. And really this is all a trail to UBI.
Correct.
And so credit to Andrew Yang for kind of popularizing it and being ahead of the curve on here. But I think it's almost an eventual conclusion at this point that we'll have some form of UBI, and this you might as well call it that.
I think if they were just honest and call it like that, I think Americans don't like the idea. The Americans are okay with the idea of UBI, but that doesn't mean that you should allow it to happen. Like, this is my issue. Like, oh, these are popular programs and everything else. Who cares if it's popular? Right. It's what's appropriate for the economy. It's appropriate for the union, not what's like. When did we become a popularity contest in high school? Yeah, like this is why.
Well, this is why populist politics is dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Because again, it's hard to kind of put those snakes back in the can, once you've let them go. And, when you get into identity politics, populist politics, it is really, really hard to kind of reel that back in. And look, I know people who are benefiting from these child tax credit checks, if you will. But I mean, it's basically buying votes.
You are buying votes. And that's the sickening part of it, is that they are unwilling to show their true hand. They want to buy votes. This is what happens in California. Yeah. Everyone wants something, and because of that, the state is a shithole. But I think what's going to continue to happen is that people are going to try to, Democrats they know if they don't pass this, they lose the midterms completely. Right. And we already know they're going to get slaughtered in the midterms. So they have to pass this. But Manchin and Sinema are refusing to. And this weekend, they were accosted, one at her lecture hall in Arizona State, and the other one on his boat by kayakers. This is literally just white people problems.
Well, and heaven forbid a conservative come to speak on campus, because then all of a sudden the campus has more security than you've seen on any military base. Okay, but a professor gets accosted. By, it wasn't even a student. It was just some
group of demonstrators.
Yeah, a group of demonstrators. In fact, I think they were illegal immigrants. And I'm not. It's not just rhetoric. They actually literally approached her, and there was there was a singular story written up on the primary person that accosted her down the hallway, basically chased her into a bathroom.
And then went into the bathroom and filmed in the bathroom with individuals using the restroom. This was disgusting.
Well, and the premise was she was complaining that the fact that because she's an illegal immigrant, Her grandparents were deported, and then her grandmother died, and she wasn't able to attend her grandmother's funeral because she's here illegally, as if that's somehow Kristen Sinema's problem, okay? Claiming that there is no path to citizenship when there is very clearly a path to citizenship.
And we're Hispanic, so we know this argument very well. It is so stupid that we're still having this argument because we could have solved this problem 20 years ago.
Right.
And they keep on kicking it down the road because they fundraise on these issues.
Yeah.
Republicans love it because when the border gets over flooded, they get to use it to bash the Democrats, and Democrats love it because they can get more voters. I mean, this is just they love illegal immigrants, and then you have people that are picking strawberries and potatoes and tomatoes on the side of the road, getting paid $1.72 because they're being abused in regards. And this is basically slave labor. Your strawberries are facilitating the slave labor, the same way as your tennis shoes, probably from Nike, are contributing to the Uyghurs in
That's
China.
literally slave labor.
And again, people are, and Americans are so ignorant and so blind to the fact that what you do on a day-to-day basis is contributing to these things.
Yeah, well, and to kind of reiterate that point, when I worked at Senator Rubio's office, I met with farmers. And I'm telling you, these farmers, they want to do the right thing. They want to play by the rules. They want to go ahead and use these worker visas to get in people. But two things happen. One is those worker visas run out very quickly.
Very quickly.
And there are a lot of workers that they come and go every year, very reliably and consistently. And they don't want any part of living here. They just want to come and work here for the season and then go back home. Well, the problem lies is that you have those that don't play by the rules, which then make competition that much harder for those that do. And then you have those that come and work under the worker visa program that then stay past their worker visa and then are declared here illegally. And so immigration is the one thing that Democrats, again, seem to willfully ignore when they are in power, because they're in power now, they were in power during the Obama administration, is that yes, immigration is a mess and it needs to be reformed. And I warn Republicans of this every cycle when Democrats are in power. If you don't rewrite the rules, they will. And we don't want Democrats rewriting immigration policy because we know what's going to come with that, and it's called asylum.
Yes, which is the worst thing that you could possibly do, because that means we'll be in this situation 20 years from now when a new crop of people try to come into the country.
Right.
And they're asking for asylum. We did it, and this infuriates me. And one of my biggest issues when it comes to the Reagan administration is that they allowed for asylum in the Reagan administration. I think it was like 2 to 5 million people file for asylum. And yet we allow the Democrats to hold 15,000 Haitians under a bridge in Texas, not even in Mexico, in Texas. And no one calls them out on it, because God forbid Republicans put kids in cages. Oh, wait, no, that was Democrats that did it originally.
And they're still doing it.
And they're still doing it. And no one calls them.
All of a sudden, everybody's forgotten about that. All of a sudden, there's no more kids in cages. Gosh. There's no more detention centers along the border because Democrats are in power now.
It's insane.
You don't have the reporters camping out outside of these detention centers trying to get access,
crying at the fence of what's going on. Again, it's complete BS what's happening on the border. And you know who suffers? The immigrants. Immigrants suffer. The girls that get put into sex trafficking are suffering. But no one cares. No American cares, as long as they're able to pay $12 to get their lawns cut, and they're able to pay less than $5 for corn. Who cares? And again, as Hispanics, we see this every single day. The mistreatment of the minorities in this country. And we tell people all the time, and these are Republican Hispanics that tell them, enforce border laws, enforce the wall situation, because that's the only way to stop it.
And the Biden administration, again, created this mess.
Correct.
They basically, in very subtle language said, hey, when we're in charge, you're going to be able to come here and you're going to be able to get, some form of legal entry, and then by the time it was too late, then you had Kamala Harris out there saying, nope, don't come.
Oh, she goes to El Salvador or one of the other Central American countries and says,
here.
Don't come. Stay where you're at. The hypocrisy of that woman.
Yeah.
And again, I don't even know, is she still alive?
I'm surprised she didn't get pelted, off the stage and literally kicked out of the country.
She is, I feel so bad. We will never, she reminds me of Veep. Have you watched Veep?
No, but I've heard it's pretty brilliant.
So there's a TV show on HBO that's Veep, and at the end of the series, and again, this is not a spoiler situation.
Yeah.
But at the end, one of her assistants is basically berating the female president, saying, "Because of you, we will never have another female president
Oh my
because of
God.
how bad you've been as a president."
Right.
And in my mind, I'm like, I think that's what people are saying for Kamala.
Oh, yeah.
Because she is so bad
Right.
at what she's doing. And again,
She'll never get elected president.
she'll never get elected president. Again,
her own party doesn't like her.
we've had this conversation. If
Yeah.
Biden is not breathing by the end of 2023, she's not going to be on that ticket.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No.
And again,
She'll have challenges for sure.
and if because it looks horrible if you, as sitting vice president, don't run after the next one. It looked
Actually,
crazy
for her,
Biden.
that would probably be the best solution. I
her
think
not to
for
run
her
and then run later?
reputation,
Yes.
or run for something else. Go run for governor of California. Go run for, which again, California's stupid enough to elect her.
I know. Elect her, but then not vote for her when she ran for president.
No, yeah, exactly. But I think she's egotistical enough to read the tea leaves, realize that she's not going to get elected president, and then go run for governor or some. She's already been senator, so
the only way she becomes president is if Biden dies in his office. That's the only way she becomes president, and then it's even a worse.
Or resigns.
He won't resign. No, because if he resigns, that means he's incompetent and he won't be able to know where to sign the paper.
But the Democrats are so desperate to win these little brownie points, which again, they all like to claim these little brownie points, but then when Republicans, have elevated minorities to positions of power, then, they criticize them and they say, oh, that doesn't count for this or that reason, or they're not truly Hispanic, or they're not,
or they're not truly gay.
Oh,
the whole situation.
That's right.
Where
Grinnell.
Pete Buttigieg was the first LGBT cabinet member.
Yeah, false.
No, that's completely false. And
Yeah.
because of your ignorance, you were not able to see that Rick Grinnell was the first one. And it's so comical how they try to rewrite history to fit their narrative.
Right.
That we know the first black senator was a Republican. So, these are the things that people forget all the time because the media does not want us to know about it. And no matter how much the media tries to say that they're fair and balanced, that's nowhere near.
Well, and Democrats put out this Hispanic Heritage video, where they're highlighting right now all of the different Hispanics that are holding position, in the executive branch. And, and if the Republicans had tried that, they would have trying to capitalize on it, or anyways. I mean, we just know
I think the Trump
already.
administration was one of the few that had the most women in the administration.
Right.
But again,
but that didn't fit the narrative. It didn't fit the narrative because he was a womanizer. He was, the sexual assault person. He was,
Yeah, because Republicans are the only ones that corner that market when it comes to that. Yeah, Democrats in New York, Democrats in California. Please, whatever.
Attention, Chris Cuomo.
And his brother.
Attention, Andrew Cuomo. I can't wait for Chris Cuomo to go down. All right.
I'm so excited for that newsreel.
Thank you again, everybody, for watching The Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics. We appreciate you. Don't forget to...
It's not fair that you have the power to do that.
What are you talking about? It's incredibly fair.
No, it's not. It's
That's
not
how
fair
life works.
That's not how life works.
Yes, it is.
Because if we had someone here, Lindsay, then you wouldn't have that kind of power. Lindsay, we miss you. Please come back.
All right, let's go ahead and look. Life happens. All right, she'll be back. So
she will.
But the show must go on, as they say.
Show must go on.
Trust me. I would much rather her be here than.
No, trust me. I would much rather her be here as well.
Because I need about an extra 2 hands to run the show now.
That's what she said.
What? Oh my God. Don't forget, you can download the audio version of our podcast over at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. We are also broadcasting live on Clubhouse. If you want to join the discussion, it's just like calling into a radio show. You join us in the Clubhouse room, raise your hand, and we will bring you on, as we did to my good friend Reagan Weiss. Thank you again to him for joining us earlier on today's show. Make sure to check out Templar Contracting and the Hub All right, helping unite businesses, an amazing concept there that's had incredible success, over 20,000 members strong, and hopefully it catches on around the country. We're going to go ahead and do one last thing. It's Anibal's favorite topic and or part of the show, and so I'll go ahead and let you start. What's your one last thing?
This weekend, oh crap, I'm already forgetting what I was going to talk about. Not Panama, Pandora. Fake audience. This weekend, oh my gosh. Anyways, a network, it's been a long day.
One more time.
I know. So, this weekend, the Pandora Papers were released from the consortium of news networks and newsrooms, a conglomerate of about 1,300 news outlets around the world released documents that they've been collecting for the last year now, showing that the most powerful, influential individuals, a lot of them in the Middle East and in Europe, have been using offshore banking to hide billions of dollars.
Shocking.
Absolutely shocking. From the prime ministers of Pakistan to the crown prince of Jordan. This is something that's caused a lot of problems in that part of the world, even though they say this very selectively, that it's not illegal what they did, but it's not good what they did either. Right. And I'm not surprised. Also, a lot of the paperwork is saying that some states in the United States are now considered no longer offshore, but like their onshore banking regulations allow them to hide what these people are putting their money in. So it's fascinating that it's no longer the Caymans. It's like Wyoming.
Oh, wow.
People are building shell companies in Delaware. Yeah. Delaware's a huge one.
Sure.
I opened a few accounts last week for Wyoming. So it's
look forward to those audit papers next week.
There is none. So I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't use my real name, and so my clients told me to do it.
You're revealing way too much.
I know. No one's watching. And so I think the fallout of the Pandora Papers will be quite significant overseas, not really here in the States. So it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is. I think a few people are probably going to lose their heads literally because of it. Yeah. But because it's a lot of Middle East and a lot of like northeastern like Asia. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
All right. Well, again, appreciate you for being on the show today. Thank you very much.
I wasn't given a choice.
I'll be sure to start saving up some bailout money after that little tidbit. For me, I'm still fascinated by what's happening in countries that I deemed to be more liberal than us. Certainly, I mean, you can't be on social media much without seeing what's happening in France, Australia, to name a few. I think maybe even Germany. When it comes to the lockdowns, when it comes to the vaccine mandates, the vaccine passports, Italy, definitely one of them. And that has really been an incredible surprise to see how the people have stood up against this truly authoritarian type of policy. We think that it won't happen here, but again, it happens as the scholars have said. It doesn't happen all at once; it happens incrementally. And so, first it was wearing the mask for 2 weeks, and now it's been, it's going to go on 2 years. And then it was the social distancing and the closing of small businesses, and then as small businesses reopen and the red states push back, now all of a sudden it's pushing it on kids, right? And they're getting the kids accustomed to having to wear these masks all day. And now that the vaccine is out, first it was optional, and then, hey, everybody, let's go out and be a community. And unity through immunity is the billboard that I keep seeing on I-75. Encouraging people to get the vaccine. And while you think you have a choice, okay, the sad truth is that unless you are an entrepreneur, someone who works for themselves, you don't have a choice, because more and more businesses, especially your corporations, are going along to get along, okay? Because the last thing they want to do is end up on the news as some company that doesn't, support getting the vaccine. And so they're quite literally threatening you with your job, and many people, even in the healthcare industry, nurses and doctors are being fired from their job simply for not wanting to get the vaccine for whatever reason it may be. And we're also seeing it play out, again, at the lower tier of, when we're talking about nurses, who are out here in some cases making minimum wage, for what they do. Even to the higher tier, NBA players are being ostracized and segregated from their fellow teammates for choosing not to get vaccinated. And their careers are being threatened. Their incomes are being threatened because they're saying if they don't meet local COVID standards, that then they are not going to be paid for those games that they don't play in. And so do you really have a choice at this point? No. The answer is very few people actually have a choice. And so, while, again, some people want to minimize freedom and the freedom of choosing whether or not to get it's almost gotten past that. It's almost not even about the vaccine anymore. It's simply about the ability to make that choice for oneself. Whether the vaccine works or not, and whether you trust the vaccine or not, that's entirely up to you. And again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying do it. I have family members that have done both. Okay, but let's stop with the whole thought process that you have a choice, because you don't have a choice at this point. Whether it's societal pressure, corporate pressure, at some point everybody's going to be put in a position where they're going to have to take this vaccine. If I want to go somewhere, if I want to travel, guess what? I'm probably going to have to get the stupid vaccine.
And that's the only caveat I give when it comes to these conversations. If I want to travel overseas, or want to travel to Italy, or want to travel to Europe, and their country requires a passport, a vaccine passport, then you know what? I might think about getting the vaccine, or you might be pressured into getting it because you want to go to Italy, and that's their policy, that's their place, that's their country, that's fine. But
there's nowhere I want to go that bad.
Exactly.
That I would get the vaccine for.
But if I want to go to like Chicago, and they're telling me that I have to get vaccine. No, are you kidding? Are you crazy? Why are you telling me what I can and cannot do? And again, this whole situation where I can and cannot do in regards to people telling you it's not your body. Yeah. You are potentially harming other people. People are doing that every single day when they smoke. People are doing that every single day when they're taking advantage of something.
Well, now you have people who are getting arrested because they had fake vaccine cards. It's not a legal document.
It's not it literally is not a legal document. There's nothing in there.
I don't even know what possible charges could be pressed on.
I'm telling you right now, I think, and this goes into the argument of how free a country really is, because you're seeing some crazy videos coming out of Canada. Oh yeah, crazy videos coming out of Australia and New Zealand.
Australia is maybe the worst.
And then you're seeing the uprisings coming out of Europe, and some people are downplaying them and everything else, but you are seeing straight up riots happening in the middle of Paris or Amsterdam, or even in some parts of Canada, and you're like, this is how bad it gets with them. And here in the States, it's like, it's a debate, it's a conversation. The government is having to put pressure on employers to try to get that vaccine, get that percentage up. Right. But this just pisses off people because you're forcing them to make a decision when they have no desire to make that decision. Again, it's their choice, it's their body, it's their right to make that decision.
I think we're almost at the point where, I think we're genuinely at the point where you don't have a decision anymore in this country whether or not to take the vaccine. And the Biden administration is going to see to it that you don't have a choice. They continue to press businesses. They continue to press entire industries to force people to get the vaccine. And unfortunately, right now, I am seeing more testicular fortitude out of France, Italy, even Australia, even some Eastern European countries against these vaccine passports and these vaccine mandates than I am in our own country.
For me, I mean, we're not to the point to where we're there yet when it comes to the vaccines, because I think we hit the first bump and we kind of stay there when it comes to the masks. And the fact that now the booster shots, when you have the FDA saying, I think it's the FDA, or I might be wrong. Hector, you're not here, so I can't really ask you to ask that question. But
I think you're right. It's the FDA.
When you have them saying, no one under the age of 65 does not have
booster shots,
shouldn't get a booster shot. And yet you have the government say, everyone should get a booster shot. Who are you arguing for? You arguing for the pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to all this,
No, they absolutely are.
That's exactly what's happening. We
Yeah.
just paid the pharmaceutical company billions of dollars to create something and then get everyone to have a shot to begin with. We've ordered like 500 million doses of certain vaccines. I didn't know there were that many Americans living in the States that needed that kind of stuff. And then, so I think we're there at the masks. That's getting too far. I felt so bad for a group. We have to pass by a school to get home when I pick up Lauren, and we go home. And you see these kids literally walking by themselves in an open field with a mask.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's how indoctrinating these children are becoming, that they're willing to they're not questioning the fact that, why am I wearing a mask in the middle of the field when the sun is literally killing the virus all around me? And I have 0% chance of getting it, but I still have to wear a mask because I have to pretend. It's like the TSA. Don't get me wrong. I know people that work at the TSA, they're great people. However, they of all people will tell you that what they're doing is kabuki theater. They're not stopping terrorists. They are not stopping, not even, I think it's like they're stopping less than 20% of the things that can cause damage on an airplane actually coming onto an airplane. So again, this whole mask situation, how do you stop talking about it? Like, is there going to be a time when we don't have to wear masks in public anymore?
Sadly, I think we are going to reach an eventual point where we're going to look like many Asian countries, where there may be a large quantity of individuals who are going to walk around on a daily basis with masks. And it's going to be as common as, I don't think it'll be as densely common as you see in Asia, but it should be. I mean, hell, have you seen the air quality in Los Angeles? I mean, have you seen the air quality in some of these other cities? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like in some of these cities, it makes sense because you're breathing in like garbage. You're literally breathing in garbage.
I will say, but my issue, again, at the end of the day, I'm not in LA. I'm not in Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm in Tampa on Hillsborough Avenue, driving in my own vehicle, and I see people in their own vehicles wearing masks.
Right.
Like, that's how much. So like someone made a comment because we were having an issue at a building in downtown Tampa, and they made a comment to a client of mine calling her Karen because she couldn't wear a face mask. And the moment he says Karen, the security guard, I say, well, at least she's not a sheep. And like, he got super offended that I call him a sheep.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, you're calling her a Karen. Like, you can't have it one way or the other. This is not how this works.
Yeah. All right, thank you everybody for watching the Yard Sign. We appreciate you. We hope you got to see this episode despite Facebook's failures today, and that's going to be a continuing story to see kind of how this shakes out. But again, it seems to be a much wider issue, which again I think also needs there's a lot of red flags there with this whole outage situation because it's far greater than just Facebook. That is, I think, just the most notable of the outages that we had today, but. Please send us your messages, your comments, topic suggestions, and don't forget to start joining us every week on Clubhouse as well. If you'd like to chime in, don't forget to download the audio version of our podcast at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. On behalf of Anibal, David Cabrera, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.